Hello once again, ladies and gentlemen. Can we talk about Transformers? Hello to all the party people in the place to be. This is the Can We Talk About podcast. A podcast where the party in the place to be happens to include giant robots.
Sure.
Going through a series of Might and Metal. It's the actual 80s cartoon classic, The Transformers. I will not wait my turn at the arcade. My name is Joe.
I'm a 17-year-old with a convertible. I'm Kristen.
And we are watching The Transformers Generation 1 via Tubi, which is a free streaming platform with intermittent commercials. Tubi has the broadcast order of Season 2 of Transformers, so keep that in mind. Very easy to find, though, because it is the second episode listed.
Super easy.
And Kristen, across these various streaming platforms, which might not necessarily be Tubi, have you been watching anything fun?
Well, I know I'm way behind everyone else, but last night, Madeline did finally sit me down and have me watch the 90s Cats movie.
Weird, because I want to say Friday. Well, actually, you know what? I stopped taking notes for this episode to watch the Lindsay Ellis video on Cats.
Yeah, we watched that too. The follow-up plan is to, probably today, watch 2019 Cats, which I don't know how I feel about that yet. I am mostly like, okay, because I enjoyed Cats. It's just funky Andrew Lloyd Webber. No problem there. It's about cats. Please, I love it. So having seen some clips from the 2019 version, I'm like, ooh.
I'm still mostly confused, even after watching that video, of a lot of the aspects of, like, I know they play the clip a bunch of times, like, it's just about cats. Like,
Once you get to the idea of their songs inspired by poems about cats, it's just an anthology, a showcase, a talent show of a bunch of cats talking about themselves and each other. And at the end, one dies.
And maybe, I don't know, maybe that's not enough for me. I just, like, I'm looking at it like, okay, that's it? Like,
it has enough guitar riffs reminiscent of Jesus Christ Superstar that I think you should at least give it a watch 'em.
I mean, we have talked at length about the various Andrew Lloyd Webber vehicles and the funk they can provide, of course. So
I can't believe, I feel like this is the second episode in a row I'm bringing this up, but you've seen Evita, right?
No, I haven't seen Evita. No, I'm getting it. What's the one that I'm getting it confused with?
I don't know, Joe.
The Elton John one. Fuck.
Tommy.
No, wait. No, fuck, it's on the tip of my tongue. You just said Tommy and you fucked with me. Wait, Aida.
Aida
and Evita. Uma, Oprah, Uma.
Because I was thinking if you had seen that at this point, I haven't, but I don't think I would be interested in it. And I'm pretty sure, as far as Andrew Lloyd Webber's goes, like, Cats is pretty up there. Just, again, you like Cats. Just funny songs about cats.
All I gotta say, Kristen, is don't cry for me, Argentina.
Good job. That's, again, 2 weeks in a row that we've made that joke.
I have been watching, well, I watched all of Season 4 of Better Call Saul last week because it was on Netflix, and
cool.
Because we reset the Netflix account, it doesn't, or at least because I haven't been watching Netflix as much, it didn't give me that thing like, hey, we got new episodes of Better Call Saul. So, Lord knows how long it's been on there, but
I watched a little bit of the Great British Family Cooking Show, or whatever it's called, which is basically just Bake Off, but with families competing, and there's less people. And now all of a sudden Netflix is like, here, now Kristen, this might catch your interest. Are you interested in the Great British Bake Off? I'm like, yeah, I've seen every single fucking season of the Great British Bake Off. But you wouldn't know that, would you?
This week, Kristen, it is an episode called The Immobilizer, which I had told you last week at the end of the episode that it is a Wheeljack episode, but that is not entirely true, we found.
Yeah, I almost just started making that Finger 11 joke again also, so I'm going to just try and stop that now.
Get it out of your system. I'm Immobilizer. I seem to stop the water because it's standing still. All right, cool. We're good.
Yeah, there we
good.
go.
We're done.
Okay, no more of that. If I'd actually thought through these jokes, it would be okay for me to make them.
But Wheeljack is like the third most important character in this episode.
Yeah, there's a decent amount of stuff happening in this episode. Not enough Decepticons, in my opinion. Only a little bit of Starscream stuff, but that's the metric by which I measure everything in my life.
There's also an amazing development regarding a female character with lines and a name. So, it's crazy. It's crazy, Kristen. It's crazy.
I know. I'm immobilized.
But it's also the Immobilizer. The Immobilizer, written by Earl Kress. And I was like,
Who?
He wrote something, right? And then I checked, and he was the teleplay guy for the Ultimate Doom Part 2. So I wrote that he is responsible for the Dinobots making a log wall. There we go.
In my mind, I confuse the Ultimate Doom for Countdown to Extinction, which is an understandable thing to mix up at least. But I'm less impressed with the Ultimate Doom Part 2 as a writing credit.
We start Kristen at the Ark. Wheeljack has a new invention. We are getting right to it. The Wheeljack Instant Immobilizer. And
Joe, you said that wrong. The Wheeljack Instant Immobilizer.
Of course. Excuse me. The Wheeljack Instant Immobilizer.
There you go.
Cliffjumper is here to be like, oh, what does it immobilize? But it's actually supposed to be Gears speaking with this. Thank you, Transformers Wiki. Because I was like, whose voice is that?
I don't know if it's just my brain not working as usual. I feel like there were a bunch of people showing up where I was like, who the fuck are you this episode? I think it was Blue Streak. I was like, who?
So Wheeljack is going to show off what the invention does here. And I don't quite understand, Kristen, given the...
Like what the plan is?
Given the second version of what Wheeljack does here, Hound creates a hologram of Laserbeak. Mm-hmm. But the Immobilizer later stops water. So is he going to stop a hologram?
Okay, so what Wheeljack says later is that it stops all of the molecules in the water. So maybe it's stopping all of the light molecules of the holograms? It could, potentially, maybe? Do I sound really certain? Because I am.
So he can find a way to turn light solid, which sounds like a thing in like a platform video game where you hit something. Like it's the coin
I've played a lot of JRPGs where you make yourself a light bridge.
Essentially, yes. I think that's might have been what Wheeljack is going for, but it also begs the question of if Hound would have ended up immobilized in the process.
Yeah, would it cause like a chain reaction of molecules back to his body, and he'd be like, "No."
We'll ask that question again with the river later, but
that's fine. Did he kill all those fish?
Spike is very quick to tell the children at home who Laserbeak is as well, that Decepticon turkey, etc., etc. And Ironhide at this point walks in just as Wheeljack is explaining, and he's just like, oh, fuck, Laserbeak! And he starts firing at everything. Like, everything.
No asking questions. He has a itchy trigger finger this episode. And I guess he does have the good sense to feel bad about it afterwards.
He's not a member of the Misfits or Kimber.
Yes.
This causes, like, the Ark is just caving in. There are sections of the ceiling of the Ark, I guess, where they didn't put metal. There's just rock. So...
So I guess the top of the Ark blew off at some point. Oh.
There's an indoor rock slide that happens here, which buries Wheeljack and the Immobilizer here. And
he jumps onto it to save it, like a baby.
Spike has to, like, come over and be like, Ironhide, that was a hologram. He doesn't even call it a hologram. It's a hologram.
Oh, no, that's really easy to understand. Ironhide's like, shit.
Man, if it were a hologram Laserbeak, I would have smashed that turkey, but a hologram, oh no!
Oh, shit.
Ironhide walks over to dig Wheeljack out of the rubble here, and boy, oh boy, does Ironhide have egg on his face. But everybody in this episode, like, Ironhide's the only one who's really kicking himself as to what happens, because Wheeljack's just like, we all make mistakes. It's fine. You just broke my Immobilizer. Don't fucking worry about it, dude.
It's fine. I'm going to send Bumblebee out to get more parts.
I understand you want to have an adventure with Spike and Bumblebee, but Wheeljack probably should get his own shit.
Thanks for breaking my shit. Someone else go fix it for me.
Yeah, Spike and Bumblebee are tasked with buying a new polarizer, so I got confused for a second.
Polarized.
So I got confused because when Wheeljack said the polarizer is broken, I was like, oh no, the Immobilizer is broken. And he's like, it's okay, we could fix the Immobilizer with a new polarizer. And I'm like, huh?
Just swing on over to Home Depot and pick me up a whole new Immobilizer. I got a Wheeljack sticker that I can slap on it when you bring it back.
So Spike and Bumblebee are sent out for this thing, and Spike, once again, for the first time since Transport to Oblivion, jumps into Bumblebee, who is driving at full speed.
Why can't we at least have an animation of Bumblebee stationary while Spike does a whoop through the window?
A Dukes of Hazzard?
Yeah, slide across the hood, whoop through the window.
That would be wonderful, but that's too much to animate.
Yeah, they already have this one animation.
We get transition 1 here, and we join an arcade already in progress. Well, first of all, there's a few observations I have about this arcade, Kristen.
Yes.
One is the machines are fucking gigantic.
They're Bumblebee-sized.
They're essentially Bumblebee-sized. He still has to kind of hunch over. It's like if Bumblebee was playing an arcade 1-up, maybe.
Yeah.
And there are clear-as-day sounds from Galaga in this. And I was going to make a joke about how it belongs to a rival company because Namco makes Galaga, Bandai owns Namco, or they're merged or something. But that didn't happen until the 2000s, I don't think, so the joke wouldn't have worked.
Galaga machines were also Pac-Man machines, too, right?
That was a newer thing that happened.
Okay. I wouldn't know. I was not a child of the 80s.
I don't know when the change was made, but Miss Pac-Man and Galaga is very common at your local Dave & Buster's.
Yes.
The game that Bumblebee is playing here is called Robot Resource, which is a really lame-sounding game.
If he's going to go to an arcade and play games, why play a game that's just what he does every single day of his life? Play a game where you're a human.
He should have been playing Tubin or Bubbles.
Yes, or Tapper.
There you go. So Spike, they put the drink into the glass and you serve it to the guy in the football helmet. I know what root beer is, Bumblebee.
I love this stuff.
A crowd is gathered as well around here, and I believe an onlooker makes some observation, like, he got double points on the first stage?
Cool.
And we get Kristen from off-screen, the sound of a woman. A woman in Transformers. Whoa.
In the show's defense, I do think there were other women at the arcade. This is just a woman who is also a character.
And she goes, may I cut in? And Spike goes, well, lady, fucking wait your turn, okay?
He's like, whoa, wait a minute, that's a girl. And she wants to be Bumblebee.
She really likes his teeth.
And he likes her teeth. Ooh.
Spike seems a little down about this, too. Like, immediate. Like, oh, fuck, a pretty girl. And she's like, can I see that cute robot you're with? And he's like, oh, no, I'm not a cute robot.
Yeah, he is slowly coming to grips with the fact that he is not as interesting as an alien robot. That's rough.
Spike, you gotta take the L on that one. I'm sorry. It's just...
Yeah.
That's insurmountable.
Yeah, you have to work on your own merits.
Hey, you were a robot for a short amount of time, but fuck that up. Sorry.
You didn't like that, did you?
Oh no, I could have gotten so much ladies if I was just still in a robot with a demon personality.
There is so much going on behind the scenes in Spike's head in this episode.
We find out this girl is Carly, and after 0.03 seconds of Carly shaking Bumblebee's hand, Spike is just like, oh, we gotta go. We were supposed to return the polarizer to Wheeljack, you dumbass, of course.
Stop flirting, Bumblebee. We gotta go.
So Bumblebee and Spike leave. Bumblebee's like, hey, nice to meet you, Carly. And as they're leaving, we see Carly has like a maroon, like a purple convertible.
Yep. That
is super illegally parked. That is like halfway into the road, directly in front of a fire hydrant.
She just had her hazards on.
That's like quadruple parked right there.
I had to go meet a robot, sorry. We get shown that Carly decides to follow Spike and Bumblebee, and I'm not sure why they needed to show us this. Because there was a point later in the episode, still like a solid few minutes before she showed up again, where I was like, they didn't really follow up on that in a timely manner, in my opinion.
Well, the next time we see her is after Ironhide finds her, right? So they're not even at the Ark anymore.
No. She just has been stalking them around all of Utah.
Jeez. Well, Kristen, we gotta have a scene instead to show that the police are cool with the Autobots, I guess.
Not until after he gives Spike a little bit of sass, but, you know. Police, sassy.
Bumblebee is bobbing and weaving through traffic here, and a policeman is like, whoa, holy fuck, we gotta slow down, dude.
They get pulled over, and Spike has the audacity to be like, what's the problem? I don't get it.
The problem is the fact that you're a 13-year-old kid, and you're driving.
You're not old enough to drive, are you? And Spike's like, oh, no, I wasn't driving.
And a super uncool cop man here, who definitely needs a Mountain Dew or something to be a cool guy, is like, you're the only one in the car and you're not driving? I don't think that one works on me, kid.
Nice math. Anyway, Spike tries to be like, no, it was Bumblebee. And apparently this guy has never heard about... Okay, so, Joe, if the Autobots were real, in real life, I would know all of their names. It's a pretty major event on Earth. Apparently this cop does not have the time.
You would, if there were alien robots that lived among us, and there were only like 20 of them, then yeah. I mean, if we could learn all the Pokemon, again, I'm sure that we could take the time to learn 20 names of Autobots and what they look like.
an important one. They're not asking me to remember Hover.
Huffer, Kristen.
Damn it!
I had to take a second there. I was like, what name did she just say? Oh, wait, of course.
I just illustrated my point. Thank you very much.
So the cop is shocked when Bumblebee transforms here, and then Bumblebee gives a rundown of what Transformers are to this stupid-ass cop.
And I guess to his credit, the cop's like, you know what? Cool. But this does get interrupted.
we have the long-awaited return of Ravage, who I cannot remember the last time we have seen Ravage.
It's been a bit, and he really doesn't do much of anything in this episode.
Ravage, I thought, was just doing some recon here. You know, skulking in the alleys, smoking in the boys' room, No, he just decides to attack Bumblebee, which...
Maybe he just has a score to settle. Maybe he just doesn't like Bumblebee.
Now, does Ravage have standing orders? Because he puts a camera on Bumblebee when he attacks here.
That's true.
Ravage is Ravage's orders to hang around the city and put a camera on the Autobots to see what they are doing at all times.
Maybe it's just as simple as, like, if you see an Autobot, try and get a camera on them if it seems like a good opportunity. Just do that whenever, really.
I think, yeah, that's what I'm thinking, is just they're out and we need to see what the Autobots are doing so we could potentially have a Saturday morning cartoon plot where we could steal their shit.
Yeah, exactly. I totally even forgot about the camera, but whatever.
As Bumblebee is being ravaged here, quite literally, Spike goes, "Excuse me, officer, do you have jumper cables?"
And the cop's like, yeah, but, and then Spike just runs straight past him. I don't think you're allowed to just kind of rip open a cop car, but damn if he doesn't do it anyway.
And he electrocutes Ravage after hooking up the jumper cables to the battery. Good thing he got the positives and negatives correct.
He's a smart boy.
And Ravage runs off, but we hold on the camera that's been attached to Bumblebee here, which is not the color of Bumblebee and fairly large as well, so it's kind of weird that nobody notices it.
No one's even like, Bumblebee, you got like a tick on you or something.
The officer says that, hey, the traffic laws also apply to Autobots, you know, and then Bumblebee apologizes, credit to Bumblebee, before they leave.
But hey, you kids have a nice day.
Back at the base, everything is still getting fixed up from Ironhide's laser party that happened here.
See, that sounds like fun, but it wasn't.
Spike tries to explain his tardiness to Wheeljack, but Wheeljack does not care because it is time for a demonstration.
Everyone shut up and listen to me.
Sparkplug offends Wheeljack momentarily here by forgetting the name of the device.
Sparkplug's just here, too. It's been a while since we've seen that guy.
Wheeljack, instant Immobilizer. It immobilizes things, and we're going to use it to defeat the Decepticons once and for all as I'm speaking directly into Bumblebee's camera.
Can you just speak into my lapel, please? A little bit closer?
The Decepticons are watching this here as we pull out, and Starscream...
On their ocean computer.
Yes, on the famous ocean computer, Kristen. So, Starscream does not like the sound of this one bit. He just says that we should destroy the Autobots and melt them into slag, but not the Dinobot slag, though we should also probably melt him as well.
Yes, but we don't need any more Dinobots because they're already their own issue.
Megatron agrees. But apparently, Kristen, that's too easy. No. We'll melt them into slag, but we also should steal the Immobilizer because I have a Saturday morning cartoon villain plot in mind.
Yeah, this is a cartoon, so we gotta add a little bit of flair to that idea.
We can't just attack the Autobots and kill them.
Megatron's very gung-ho about this plan.
Wheeljack is kind enough to tell Optimus as well, before we pull back into the arc here. He just kind of walks over and is like, Optimus, I actually don't know the extent of the power of this thing, so... we should do as many tests as possible, and Optimus is like, thank you for telling me about this before we just put it into action here, because...
There was definitely a reason that at first he was like, let's try it on a hologram first.
They head out here, there's a lot of gratuitous transforming shots, and...
There's also, he says something like, we have to test this under safety conditions, instead of, like, safe conditions?
No, Kristen, safety conditions, of course.
Safety conditions. Yeah, obviously. I do like, we're going to get to it in a minute, but we have to be more careful. We're going to try this out responsibly first. Let's go destroy an entire ecosystem.
Safety conditions is a new hair product for hard hat men.
Yeah, there you go. That's how you get a soft hat. Yeah.
So they head out to the forest here, which is a nice change of pace compared to deserts and ravines that we normally have.
Yeah, we haven't seen one of these since my brain thinks Transport to Oblivion, but that's not right.
Divide and Conquer was the one where they went back, I think, with the Jimmy Stewart reflector.
Maybe.
Ironhide is tasked with guard duty here, since they don't want any nasty Decepticon visitors, of course. But we see there's a mysterious shadow behind him.
May I offer a critique? If every single Autobot went to this thing, Wouldn't it be nice to, like, give Ironhide some company at least? Have maybe 2 people on guard duty?
I feel like, considering the Decepticons can come from literally any direction, that's a fault with this that we'll get to later, but more than one person should have been on guard duty in more than one place, potentially.
Like, at least 4 people, right?
Wheeljack sets the Immobilizer down here near a river to show it off, and it manages to stop, like, a little mini waterfall completely. Like,
yeah.
Completely.
It freezes it into a solid. So we don't know whether or not anything in contact with that water... Well, no, I guess things in contact with the water didn't freeze because the cliff was in contact with the water.
And you have to assume after a certain point that if there was, like, a lake connected to this water or anything, we don't get a good scope of the range of the Immobilizer.
Weird. It's almost like they don't explain it properly.
Jazz doesn't get what happens here either, and this was so weird, Kristen, to me, when he tries to jump into the water and just smacks his ass against the hard, like, gray area, and I'm like, what the fuck did Wheeljack do to the water?
I've seen TikToks like that where people try to jump into snow, but it turns out it's actually solid.
Oh, God.
It looked like fun.
Wheeljack says here that the Immobilizer has made the water harder than any substance we've ever known, so I feel like there's a practical use of the Immobilizer here that's, like, for building materials, potentially? I mean...
Yeah, well, I guess at this point they don't know how long it lasts. No one has a chance to really ask Wheeljack an appropriate amount of questions before this gets a little bit fucky.
And my favorite part here, where after being told that it's the hardest thing known to man, Braun is like, it's not harder than my fists, and then he punches it once and goes, okay, maybe it is!
Never mind.
Spike runs over. Spike is animated with such haste here. Like, he's running over...
It's like a little kid that doesn't have full control over his body, which I guess is Spike.
Sort of correct.
Uh-huh.
He's running over like there's some sort of problem, and ends up stepping on the controller for the Immobilizer as a result, which happens to point it directly at him, I guess.
It's like, hey!
And then Wheeljack, I guess being closest to Spike, is like, no, Spike, and then gets immobilized in the process.
Yeah, we don't get to see what would happen if a human got zapped with that thing, which is probably for the best. I think it would be gory.
Hoist by his own petard here, immobilizing himself. God, Kristen, if a human was hit with the Immobilizer, would only your skin get immobilized?
The rest of you would just slough off.
Oh, God. I was going to say, you'd be like a Medusa thing, but your eyes can move, maybe.
Ew. Or, with molecules, would it just freeze up all the water in your body?
Oh, and you'd die immediately.
That would kill the shit out of you. But yeah, they didn't have a chance to ask Wheeljack about what they were going to do next, so they're like, uh-oh!
Thankfully, the effect is only, like, for a few minutes, because as soon as Wheeljack got frozen, I was like, what the fuck are they gonna do here? Oh, my God.
I really thought that when Spike stepped on the controller, what was gonna happen is that he was gonna bust it, and they would have to figure out how to unfreeze everyone. But thankfully, they find out pretty quickly the effects are just temporary.
Optimus puts the cherry on top here of this whole scenario by saying directly to Bumblebee, if this gets into Decepticon hands, that would be a problem. And the Decepticons are like, we're good, let's get it, let's go do it.
Do you see that? He looked straight into the camera when he said that.
Transition 4 here. Ironhide is standing guard and sees that shadow running around again here. There's a lot of gratuitous tree murder in this episode, Kristen.
They're killing the fish, they're killing the trees. What won't they kill?
I thought this was an environmentalist cartoon, for fuck's sake.
I think what we've proven is no.
So Ironhide shoots at a tree, which falls on top of Carly, who who again has been just kind of hanging out in the background in the shadows here, and finally makes herself known now for some reason.
Please don't shoot.
When Ironhide goes over to check on Carly here, she's like, I think the Autobots are totally incredible, but why couldn't
pretty much immediately Ironhide is like, oh shit, wait a minute, I hear people fighting, oh god.
Why couldn't Carly just walk up to Ironhide and be like, hey, you guys are cool?
Well, then how would she be able to take secret pictures of all of them?
But yeah, there's the sounds of battle, the very clear sounds of battle. You could tell by the stupid noise that Megatron's fusion cannon makes that the Decepticons are... We are foregone the battle here, at least. When Ironhide arrives to check things out, like 3 Decepticons manage to get the better of all the Autobots.
Ironhide is having a great day, and he's like, God damn it, this is my fault too. So we get a compounding self-hatred, because not only does Ironhide have something to prove now, Carly does as well, because she feels bad too.
Segment 1 ends here with both of them feeling bad, and all I gotta say, Kristen, is the Decepticons can fly. This shit happens.
If they came from above and slightly behind you, really can't do anything about that. I mean, here's the question. The direction Ironhide was facing, is it possible that was the direction of the ocean base? Was he specifically put there to be like, okay, just cup your hands over your eyes and look to see if anyone's coming?
Segment 2 starts here with Megatron demanding the Immobilizer, and then Trailbreaker, who has 3 lines in this episode, but what lines they are, just steps in front of everyone and goes, "Fuck you, Mega Turkey!"
Whoa! Be careful with all that edge.
And this is enough to, not the fuck you part, the Mega Turkey part, of course, is Megatron hears fuck you all the time, just as he's passing Starscream in the hallway, fuck you.
Just quietly under his breath. Even sometimes the way Laserbeak squawks, it sounds like Laserbeak saying fuck you to Megatron. It's very strange.
But Mega Turkey is a bridge too far, so Megatron orders...
Kill!
Megatron orders the kill shots here as Trailbreaker uses his force field, which we get... It's like a wall this time. Again, we get sort of a different way. This is the sort of consistent as to how Trailbreaker's force field has been before. There's like radial lines coming out of his chest, but we don't exactly know. It doesn't form like a dome or anything. It's treated like it's a wall this time.
Yeah, it almost starts to look like the lasers do not work, and then Starscream's like, all right, looks like Big Boy's gotta go take care of this from above. And it looks like he's just gonna jump over it like it's a wall.
But thank goodness for Asswipe, who uses his rocket pack to, once again, make Starscream say uncle and then crash him.
It was good. He just kind of rams into Starscream jet, and Starscream gets thrown off course like, ah! Very easily subdued there.
Don't do that when I'm flying. Fuck!
You're throwing me off bounds.
A robot fight happens here, and Spike, for, I don't want to say no reason, because obviously he's in danger, but he runs away from the robot fight. Smart Spike,
he may be learning his lesson? We don't know.
He runs into Ironhide and Carly here, and Ironhide's like, hey, look who's here. Like, I don't know... Spike did say when they returned, hey, we met a girl, but that's it. Like, I don't know if Ironhide was standing anywhere near... Like, he got cut off by Wheeljack immediately, so I don't know why Ironhide would know that.
Maybe on the drive over there was conversation.
I met Bumblebee and the brown hair kid... Oh, Chip Chase? No, the other brown hair kid.
I'm trying to make myself be less picky about when characters just know things rather than the cartoon, rather explaining things that we know to us. It's like, oh yeah, this is Carly. We know nothing about her thus far.
It probably could have been handled a little better than Ironhide saying, look who it is, and not Spike going, Carly!
Yeah, I think the order was a little bit messed up there.
Another tree nearly crushes Carly as they run away here. More trees getting blown up.
Tree murder. Murder of trees, and then the trees themselves turn to murder.
So, Kristen, before Spike ran away here, I forgot to mention, Skywarp is like hiding behind a tree and goes, how about my bouncy rocket? Try some of this on for size. And when we cut back after this scene with Ironhide and Carly and Spike all meeting up, the bouncy rocket is still like flying everywhere. And the Decepticons are like, Skywarp, what the fuck did you do?
Skywarp and Thundercracker don't make really any good decisions at this point, and this is kind of the only thing that they do all episode.
They're bumbling, which is what they should be, I think. Another tree gets lasered and falls onto Optimus this time.
Ow.
Maybe this is why they don't go in the forest. They're gonna be killing all these trees.
It just shit keeps falling on top of us whenever we fight anywhere with nature.
If it's not rocks, it's trees. Fuck.
Ugh.
The tree falling on Optimus makes him drop the Immobilizer here, and Ironhide rushes over to grab it, but gets shot by Starscream, and Starscream smugly is just like, this belongs to me now. And a retreat is called by somebody.
Uh-huh. I think, in my brain, I thought it was Megatron.
I think, but it allows Starscream to go, a true Decepticon never retreats, and then tries retreating anyway, it seems like, because...
I don't know. I would love to see a version of this episode where there's immediately a supercut of all the time so far Starscream has told the Decepticons to retreat.
And Ironhide, in this confusion, he shoots some adhesive onto Starscream's feet, which, when he tries to run away... makes him...
fuck!
Once again, just, fuck! And he falls over, which makes him drop the Immobilizer directly to Megatron, and then Megatron picks it up, like, at last, it's finally in my grasp, as if Starscream didn't already have it!
I don't know. Optimus immediately is like, oh, Megatron, but your warriors are falling. And Megatron's like, you think I fucking care that Starscream is hurt?
There's a weird thing that happens here, too. We're falling down, I guess, fucked with Starscream's motor skills, because he's fucking bumping into trees. And that never comes back!
That happens with the sound stuff later with Jazz. Where they're just like, we don't work anymore. No, whatever.
So, okay, adhesive on feet and falling down, and loud music. Enough to fuck with your motor skills.
My brain made one of those jumps of, well, this is how that could make sense, so maybe this is what they meant, which is me giving everything too much credit. Part of my brain was like, okay, that was like a weird rust-colored goo that Starscream got shot with. It didn't seem to, like, do anything aside from trip him. It didn't seem like he was, it hardened and then he was stuck to the ground or anything. I was like, maybe it's, like, electric goo that, like, chaff grenades him. I don't know.
All of this happens that we've just been, like, spending so much time on. It happens so quickly. I wrote so many notes for, like, the span of 25 seconds in the episode because Megatron talking about warriors being expendable and shit, all of this only leads to the river becoming mobilized again and all the Decepticons falling in.
Oh, no!
Because they were standing on top of it.
Mm-hmm. My favorite pieces of animation continue to be the Decepticons getting the floor pulled out from underneath them and dropping into water. Specifically Starscream, but I'll take anyone.
You deserve that, mega jerk. Rust in peace, says a very wrathful Trailbreaker as everybody laughs.
He does still have the Immobilizer.
Thundercracker wants to get revenge here for for Kristen. They laughed at me. They're all gonna laugh at you!
Oh my god. As if that hasn't happened before.
Megatron wants it too, but in due time.
So, is this a good time for me to mention that, so the Immobilizer keeps getting passed around like a football?
Yes.
In my mind, as we started recording and talking about this, I kept thinking, like, okay, I guess the entire episode would be ruined if the Immobilizer was, like, a gun attachment for Wheeljack's arm.
I guess.
Then it would be hard to pass it around and have people drop it all the time.
I feel like the way that Wheeljack built it, it does not seem like it needs to be, like, it's got, like, a tripod thing, and it's vaguely football-shaped, too.
Yep.
But it also has a radar dish on top of it, which shoots out the immobilizing beam.
It just kind of gets set up. It doesn't seem like a super effective weapon just yet, but I guess it is the first iteration.
I can understand potentially if you want to use it as, like a bomb, like, if you set it to a thing where if something gets within the radius of the immobilizer, it shoots at it. Maybe like a turret, sort of, but that's not been explained at any point, so...
Yeah, I shouldn't have even brought it up.
Optimus calls for the retreat here because they gotta find out how to reverse what the fuck happened to Wheeljack and to see, okay, so the river moved, but the river has a billion fucking molecules in it that probably want to rush, that probably want to move, so maybe you gotta will yourself out of it.
Well, it's similar in that Wheeljack has a bunch of Italian molecules in him, and he just wants to cook.
And I was going to say, and Italian molecules, Kristen, moving their arms all the time.
That's true. He has to gesture when he speaks.
Carly asks if she can come along too, and why not?
Okay, sure.
For the first time since More Than Meets the Eye, Kristen, we get it. The triumphant return of somebody getting loaded into Ratchet's ass.
You say somebody like it's not Wheeljack winning that prize, and he doesn't even know it.
Yeah, the frozen Wheeljack being that someone.
He's asleep for it. Wah.
Ironhide is on the metal slab, the famous metal slab within the arc here that is becoming a once-an-episode thing at this point.
Is he getting repaired because he accidentally made trees fall on top of himself?
Ironhide wasn't really hurt in that. Oh no, he got shot by Starscream. That's what it was.
Okay, yes.
Of course, yes. So, still blaming himself for what happened here, and Ratchet for the second time.
Shut up, old man.
Shut up, old man. I'm going to rip out your voice box, you motherfucker, but I'm glad you're okay.
Ironhide says that maybe he's too old for this shit now, and he decides he's going to retire.
And Kristen, Optimus does nothing. Nothing. He's just like, well, if that's how you feel, Ironhide, we're glad to have had you on the battlefield.
Maybe he just isn't taking him seriously. Like, okay, buddy.
Use a different tone, then.
They're doing a Shayna, bands break up. Oh, wow, you got a fashion job? Well, don't let us keep you. Bye, Shayna.
We're going to have a talent search for a new drummer / Autobot.
You're super replaceable.
Believe in yourself. You've got to transform into a car.
My favorite part of Transformers was when they had a talent search, and then Rhea was on Transformers, and she transformed into a drum set.
Damn, Chris, I was literally just about to ask the question. If Rhea was an Autobot, what would she transform into?
A drum set. An electric drum set with wheels.
And then they go into battle, and she transforms, and it's like, oh, I can't get any closer. Oh no, I can't move.
I'm kind of stuck. If anyone wants to play a 6 solo, though, I'll be back here.
Carly is also blaming herself here for what happened, and when Ironhide walks by, she's the person who's like, Ironhide, don't retire. Come on. It wasn't your fault.
Joe, I'm going to make what might be a bold statement.
Oh, please.
Really feel like Carly already has more characterization than Spike.
Carly is a really good character in this episode.
Yeah, you get a good sense of her personality. She's apparently super smart, proactive, helpful.
Reckless,
which is, that's a character trait.
Yes.
But she doesn't get herself exploded the way that Spike does, who just seems to not be reckless, but
stupid.
Empty-headed. Like he doesn't understand he's in danger. It's not that he doesn't care.
Reckless for the wrong reason, yes.
Yeah, he's ignorant.
Carly wants to be shown around the base a bit here, and Ironhide reluctantly agrees as we get Transition 6. And Kristen, the first place that Ironhide takes Carly is, apparently they just have a fucking gigantic bunker full of missiles within the Ark.
Yeah, maybe he's just kind of, like, not feeling it, but he's like, well, I guess I'm already doing this. Where do I spend time? I guess in that place where we keep all the ammo? Is this interesting to a human?
Ironhide goes on about the horrors of war and violence. We don't want all these missiles, but, you know, we kind of need them until the Decepticons are fucking dust.
Yeah, whatever, says Mr. Trigger Happy.
And Carly Kristen, she just wants to turn the Decepticons into dust, because she grabs what I assumed was a grenade at first, but I guess it's just
I thought so too. Some kind of weird sticky ocean bomb.
It's an underwater charge of some sort.
Uh-huh.
And then Carly mentions, hey, we gotta take it to the Decepticons and fuck up their underwater base. Kristen, how does Carly know about the Decepticons' underwater base?
She's a big fan. Transition
7 happens here. Wheeljack gets mobilized finally, and everyone catches him up on what happened. Ironhide, being there, goes, it was my fault. Like, hey, like he was at the back of the room and he starts running closer. Ah, Wheeljack, it was my fault.
Hang on, get out of the way. I need to crucify myself. What is it in Mario 64 when Mario's in his idle animation and he falls asleep? He starts dreaming out loud, talking about food, right?
Does he? I don't remember that.
I think so. I really hoped you would know what I was talking about because I wanted to say that that's what Wheeljack was doing while he was immobilized. Pizza.
Pasta. Pizza pasta.
Pizza pasta. Calzone.
I was just reminded, I think it was Sonic CD. If you leave it idle for too long, Sonic just goes, I'm out of here, and he jumps off screen and you get a game over.
That's what you get. Don't waste your parents' electricity.
As everything is happening here, Spike looks around and goes, where's Carly? And Bumblebee is like, she was an Ironhide. And Spike...
They just look over across the room, like Mac and Charlie, and like, wait a minute, there's Ironhide, but where's Carly?
Kristen, there's no telling what Carly's gonna do, because apparently all she was fucking talking about was being sad for Ironhide and wanting to murder Decepticons, I guess, off screen.
We missed that part. I would have liked to have heard her manifesto, but whatever.
Bumblebee transforms. He and Spike head out here. Back inside, independent of Spike and Bumblebee, Optimus goes, hey, we need to transform and roll out as well.
So there's different teams happening.
So we have the third time we're seeing Optimus' stock transformation this episode, by the way.
At least they had the good sense at this part, I remember, to put him slightly, like, up and left in the frame a little bit, so you only see a little bit of his trailer coming out from nowhere.
Transition 8 happens here. Carly is out at sea, Kristen. She has scuba gear on. She is on a boat.
This is when I start wondering, how old is Carly?
She is old enough, at the end of the episode, we find, to accept a scholarship to MIT, so she is...
That's why my educated guess was 17.
Super genius Chip Chase Carly, super genius Carly Chase here.
Mm-hmm.
So, man, do you think Spike starts to feel a little inadequate? Because he's just a mini hard hat man hanging out with super cool Bashonen Chip Chase and genius level MIT scholarship
super spy.
Scholarship super spy earner, action woman, Carly last name.
I mean, if he didn't already feel inadequate being surrounded by heroic robots before, I don't know if it's ever gonna sink in.
The only person he's better than is his dad. And even then, Sparkplug's really good at fixing shit.
Yeah, and he is an adult, so he has some years on him at least.
Poor Spike. No wonder he only hangs out with Bumblebee. It's the only one he
makes
can
him
dunk
feel
on.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, Kristen. And then Carly just kind of casually swims to the bottom of the ocean to plant the charge on the Decepticon base.
She just had this stuff already at her disposal, which is pretty cool for a teenager.
Soundwave picks up on Carly's presence here immediately and sends out Laserbeak after her. There's a prolonged sequence of her avoiding Laserbeak, but she gets picked up, and segment 2 ends with the damsel being in distress.
Now a robot bird has picked up Spike's new friend. Will the robot bird kidnappings ever cease?
Segment 3 starts here, back on the Ark. Sparkplug shows Ironhide what we get a name drop of the Sky Spy, Kristen.
Wow!
For the first time in a while, which was apparently just right out near the ocean, and saw...
Isn't that smart to have it near where the Decepticons are doing shit?
That is actually very true, because the Decepticon base does have the giant thing that comes out of the ocean, so...
They can just know when they leave.
Nah, the Sky Spy needs to be somewhere else. Whatever.
It's fine, don't worry about it. Yeah, send it to Antarctica.
Watch Skyfire, see if he goes back into the ice.
Yeah, just hang out there, send back some pictures of the Aurora Borealis.
Ironhide hesitates after he sees this. Spike will find her, it'll be okay. And then Sparkplug is like, why are you giving that duty to my son? You're a fucking giant robot.
My son is 14!
I wrote that Sparkplug is Ironhide an old man pep talk to old man Ironhide.
Yeah, how old are you saying Sparkplug is?
35. I don't know.
That seems a little bit young considering if Spike is, at least 13.
You never know, Kristen. The 70s were a wild time.
True? Okay.
Oh no, Spike's mother died from a cocaine overdose at Studio 54. Oh no.
But isn't that pretty cool, though?
Transition 9.
Joe, she died wearing roller skates. Isn't that the dream?
Laserbeak brings Carly back to the Decepticons here. And Skywarp is like, hey, wait a minute. I remember her. Even though I don't think he saw her at all. So,
okay.
Now that I think about it, actually, this makes Megatron happy because that means the Autobots will come for her and we get another transition immediately.
Cool. At some point, Rumble says something.
This episode was pretty good about transitions, and then segment 3 just has like boom, 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 a bunch in a row, and I don't like it.
They're suddenly deciding we need to go back and forth constantly for these very short scenes.
Bumblebee and Spike have no idea where to look for Carly here, Kristen, not until we see a man with no lines this episode, but he just shows up.
I'm a jet!
It's Skyfire.
I really thought what they were going to do until we see that Ironhide is inside of Skyfire. They were going to go, oh, cool, there's Skyfire. Skyfire, have you seen Laserbeak carrying a girl?
No, Skyfire is just requested by Ironhide to drop him off here, and Ironhide... I like this little touch of just Ironhide has a jetpack that comes out to make sure he doesn't crash into the fucking ground.
Yeah, at first I thought it didn't do anything, because I expected him to fly with it. But yeah, he just uses it to buffer his landing. Little pieces of animation that make sense. I love it.
Ironhide relays the information to Spike and Bumblebee as to what's happening with Carly at this point, and... transition 11. The bomb on the outside of the base finally blows up and starts flooding ocean water in, which I was going to say you'd think the Decepticons would be prepared for, but they are reasonably prepared for if there is a hull breach of their base.
Yes, so where the water starts coming in, they get behind a watertight door and close it, assess damage. What they don't seem to care about is that water also starts going into the place they're keeping Carly.
Well, Megatron is just like, oh, cool, we get to watch her drown.
That's nice, fun, I love it. In this opaque water.
I was going to say, but then they don't, because as soon as the water fills the room completely, Megatron's just like, she's dead, that's fine. And then Ironhide was somehow able to pinpoint where Carly is as well, because he's able to fly, swim, something... directly through the wall to grab Carly, and then...
So her head's already underwater, and he still has to bring her up to the surface from at least close to the bottom of the ocean.
Without scuba gear this time, even though scuba
Yes.
gear would not help with the pressurization and such.
No, but she's fine when they get up. Okay, nice.
Transition 12.
Ah.
We're on the beach at this point now. Carly and Bumblebee both commend Ironhide for what he's done here, and it's just like, hey, it's good to have you back, buddy. And, like, he's not officially kind of back in yet, but...
He has to be, like, reinstated at the end of the episode, which, again, I think Optimus was just like, well, I never even filed the paperwork, dude.
Carly gets in Bumblebee here, and they all start driving off, but they look back, and Ironhide is a fine shade of gray, which is not red. And
No.
You'd think stupid-ass Bumblebee drives all the way back, and they all stand in front of
Sonic,
Ironhide.
are you okay?
And they gawk at him, and then Ironhide goes, I'm out of here, and he jumps off screen and gets a game over.
So they realize that he was immobilized, and then the Decepticons are coming at them with that immobilizer.
They're up on a ridge, like a nearby ridge here, as he gloats about how they have perfected the immobilizer here, and the immobilization effect, lasts forever now. And Kristen, I had a hard time when I've used mobilized a few times here. Like, the opposite of immobilized should be mobilized, but it doesn't sound right when I say that suddenly they're mobilized again.
They're
See, remobilized doesn't exactly sound correct either.
But I guess it technically is, isn't it?
I guess.
They were mobile, they were immobilized, then they were remobilized.
The Autobots arrive just in time before Spike, Carly, and Bumblebee end up getting immobilized too, and Optimus fires on Megatron here, which Starscream takes the opportunity immediately to be like, oh fuck, he's down, it's me, I'm in charge, let's go, attack!
He tags himself in by slapping Megatron's hand. Starscream time.
Rumble takes control of the immobilizer at this point, and manages to catch a few Autobots here, gets blue streak, gears mid-transformation.
Not bad at all, considering he's an idiot.
He can aim it pretty well, I guess.
Yeah, imagine how effective it would have been if Soundwave had it.
Carly has an idea on how to mobilize everyone again, but she just needs to get close. And Brawn comes over here, and Kristen, do you remember Brawn's weird unicorn horn drill?
Yes, I do. It looks like a unicorn lollipop. But gray, like it got dropped in the sand.
All that gray sand.
Yep.
So Brawn is asked by Carly to tunnel under to get over to the immobilizer, and that this is where the unicorn horn drill comes out, and they do so.
Yep. They start digging underground, and once they are getting close, they say, okay, Jazz, go! And Jazz apparently was hip to this plan, because he's like, gotcha, baby.
Jazz is not even using the auditory dish things that he had from Attack of the Autobots. He's just playing music really loud.
Yeah. He's just showing the Decepticons how square they are.
Carly surfaces without the help of Brawn, too. Like, she somehow was able to... I guess Brawn has a sunroof, and she dug to the top like it was fucking the lonely grave of Paula Schultz here.
I was gonna say, give me a whole scene of her just digging herself out through the sand like Uma Thurman.
And all she does is cross 2 wires, and that's all it needs.
She explains it later. I don't know. I guess the explanation is nice. Again, it just has her say, oh, by the way, I am really smart.
So when Rumble goes back to the immobilizer here, apparently crossing these wires also will automatically remobilize anything that is immobilized, because he's like, I can't control it.
Whoa! Because he is not attempting to aim at the people who have already been immobilized, but they are being pewed back to life.
Lisa Beak is ejected here to grab onto the immobilizer, but the recently remobilized Ironhide manages to get a hold of it himself and uses it to get everyone back to normal, just kind of standing in front of people, just being like, whoop, pew, 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 pew.
Look at it! Look at it!
Ironhide then smashes the immobilizer against the ground, which thankfully, everyone, hopefully he didn't forget anyone,
Whatever. Megatron is thinking he's gonna try and steal it back again. Touchdown. But yeah, it's broken, and then Megatron's just like, fuck this, we're retreating. And fuck you guys.
I have a very important question, Kristen.
Yeah.
Could the Decepticons not have just made another immobilizer?
I am willing to believe that because there are so few Decepticons compared to the Autobots, maybe they do not have the technology to make their own.
Okay, that's fair.
I'm being generous here.
Transition 13, Ironhide requests a return to active duty here, and Optimus is just like, you were never removed from active duty, my man. I didn't take that retirement seriously.
Yeah, don't worry about it. So we get Wheeljack being like, well, wait a minute, Collie. How'd you know how to do the thing?
Apparently, Kristen, in the room that she was kept in for that short amount of time that she was in Decepticon control, she found out the immobilizer can just be, you just cross some wires, and it's no longer an immobilizer anymore. It's a remobilizer.
Well, she says, well, I had a theory that by doing that it would work. I didn't know for sure. I'm glad it did work.
A woman after Wheeljack's own heart here.
Oh yeah, he loves it.
And she also mentions that it's a theory that she had since she accepted a scholarship at MIT recently, which is a very awkward line because you can't place it. Like, she had the theory about the immobilizer before knowing what the immobilizer was?
So whatever, she's smart.
She's smart. That's what the line is supposed to tell us, is she's a smart lady.
Well, my mom, Dr. Harding.
And Bumblebee comes over here and he whispers something to Spike, and Spike asks Carly on a date, essentially.
He uses her nerd language.
Nerd language here, Kristen. Gotta talk nerdy to me here. How about an emulsified CO2 with lactic acid? And Carly's like, what? What the fuck are you talking about, hard hat kid?
And then, see, this is where he would get me on board. He's like, let's go get a chocolate soda.
Hey, there we go. Chocolate soda.
I love chocolate soda.
They run to her convertible here, and Sparkplug just lets his teenage son go out with what can potentially be presumed to be a college-age woman.
A stranger who has been doing reckless things since the moment they met her. They end up doing some sick jumps off some cliffs.
Quadruple parking and the like.
Yep.
So, Kristen, that was the Immobilizer, and we kind of touched on it here. The introduction of Carly was a good one, and I hope that she shows up in more than, 3 episodes, because I didn't actually check what her appearances were.
Yeah, I did not have high expectations when you told me that she shows up this episode. I don't know if that contributed to me being like, oh, nice. Me partway through the episode thinking, hey, she's pretty cool. The same way that, eventually with Chip Chase, I was like, yo, I'm into this guy.
So everybody except, once again, the main human character is the one that we like the least.
Yeah, no kidding. I like Spike more than I like Sparkplug, I think.
And hopefully her character is... I think the Ultimate Doom did a lot to fuck up Sparkplug, really.
Yeah.
And hopefully Carly's characterization stays consistent, too, when she shows up more than 3 times.
Hey, as long as she doesn't do any, dumbass shit, I'll be happy.
Now's the point in the evening where we'll list off all the fun contact things, where you can find us. You can follow us on the Twitter machine at cwtapod. You can follow me at Octopus, which is AWKTAPUS.
You can follow me on Twitter at Marina Kazam.
You can find us on the Apple Podcasts, on the SoundCloud, on the Stitcher Radio, on the YouTube even. Leave a rating, give a review, do whatever you feel like. You can also drop us a line at cwtapod@gmail.com, where you can tell us all about your device that can turn water into a solid that's not ice, and what your highest score on Robot Resource is.
Water diamonds. And check out my solo podcast side project, ASMR Relationships, the podcast equivalent of listening to gossip that has nothing to do with you. You can find a link to it in the episode notes. Follow it on Twitter at Reddit Gossip. I'd appreciate if you gave it a listen in this quarantine time.
And Kristen, the next episode we have is the Autobot run, which the only thing I really know about it is it's animated by the same people that did City of Steel, so I expect it to look kind of goofy.
I hope there's another Reptilicon.
And those are my good expectations for the episode, is just it looking goofy. Let's hope it's not incredibly stupid like City of Steel was as well.
Well, City of Steel was stupid enough that I was into it. Just based on the title, I don't have high hopes, but we'll see.
Maybe it's like the Cannonball run.
Is there a song that we can relate the Autobot run to?
Eastbound and down, loaded up and
Baby
trucking.
Autobot run.
That was the Smokey and the Bandit song. I don't know.
Blah, 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 blah.
For the Can We Talk About podcast, my name is Joe.
I'm Kristen.
And join us next time when presumably the Autobots will run.
I thought they roll. Rolling's in the mail, I don't know.